right, boys and girls, lesson 2 in module 0 will be on equivalent fractions. So if you can turn to the next blank page in your notebook and title it Equivalent Fractions. We know equivalent means equal. Equivalent is a great math word. All right, here is the definition of equivalent fractions. They're fractions that have different numerators and denominators, but they represent the same value. So you're not changing the amount, you're just changing the size of the pieces. So if you guys have noticed, the bigger the denominator, the smaller the pieces. So here is an example. What I have done is I had modeled using a fraction bar, which for me is the simplest way. I created a hole and cut it into half. And you can see right below it, I created the same size rectangle, but for this one, I broke it into 4 equal size pieces. And you can see that 1/2 is the same as 2/4. If you need to zoom in, you can zoom in. And as always, at any point, if I'm going too fast, that's why you get to pause me, write the definition, and then replay me. Or you can rewind me. All right, but as 6th graders, I know that you would like to use multiplication to create equivalent fractions. Modeling always shows a deeper level of understanding of the concepts, but we always like a quick way to get there. So you can use multiplication. And all you have to do is multiply the numerator and the denominator by the same number, and you will come up with an equivalent fraction. So if I multiply my numerator and my denominator by 2, 1 times 2 is 2, and 2 times 2 is 4, I create an equivalent fraction. All right, so what I want you guys to do on your paper is I want you to try some practice problems. So get these down on your paper and go ahead and give them a try. And then you're gonna pause the video, which you should be doing. Don't keep playing it and waiting for the answers. Just try it. And then I'm gonna show you what the answers are. So go ahead and get this down on your paper, pause the video. Okay, now I gotta find where the video is on my, it's on this one. It's on page 2. Go to page 2. There it is. Okay, so here are the practice problems. So what you have is you have your fraction and you have to figure out what do you do to this fraction to get an equivalent fraction. So we see here that the denominator changed from 2 to 4. So what did I do to my denominator to make it a 4? What did I multiply it by? Because you can use multiplication to generate an equivalent fraction. So when I multiply my 2 by 2, I get 4. Then you have to do the same thing to your numerator, and you can figure out what the numerator should be. Number 2, my denominator changed from 3 to 6. What do you multiply 3 by to get 6? Well, you multiply it by 2. Whatever you do to your denominator, you have to do to your numerator. If you don't do that, you're not going to create equivalency. You're not going to create the same problem or the same amount. So that's 2, 6. Then I have 2, 6. My denominator changed from 6 to 12. So what do you multiply 6 by to get to 12? Multiply it by 2. Do the same thing to your numerator, and you get 4/12. And finally, this time, all of these you multiplied by 2. And this one, if you multiply 2 by 2 here, you only get 4. So what do you multiply 2 by to get to 8? Well, you multiply it by 4. So you do the same thing to your numerator, and you get 4. And in addition, just to add to this a little bit, not only to create an equivalent fraction do you multiply your numerator and denominator by the same number, but you can also go the opposite way and use the inverse operation and divide your numerator and denominator by the same number. That's what we call simplifying a fraction. So it can go, you can use the inverse operations to create equivalency. When we divide our numerator and denominator by the same number, we simplify it, but it's also an equivalent fraction, just to show you guys. And I could simplify this one even further, right? Any questions? All right, see you in class. Have your notes ready.